Starting with the name of Almighty Allah, who is the most merciful and the most compassionate. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and a very good evening to all of you. I hope you all are doing good. I'm Fatma Saad, and I'll be the host of today's webinar organized by the Pharmacozyme. The topic of this session is Brain Hacks for Beating Study Stress, based on neurobiological and pharmacological insights. This webinar is live on our YouTube channel, so if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now to get our all upcoming updates. If you have any query, feel free to drop in the comment section. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the session. Certificates will be given to all the registered participants. And yes, stay till the very end. We have an interactive quiz with the certificates of excellence for the top 10 scorers. It's my absolute honor to introduce our distinguished speaker, Dr. Maria. Dr. Maria is a gold medalist, pharmacist, MPhil in pharmacology, and PhD in neuropharmacology. Dr. Maria is not only a certified researcher and educator, but also a multi award winning professional trained at prestigious institutions across the USA, UK, UAE, Europe, Malaysia, and Pakistan. Her experience spans cutting edge research, CME over CPD, accredited training, and years of teaching expertise, making her the perfect person to guide us through the science behind stress management for better learning. Let's welcome Dr. Maria. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Maria.
Walaikum salam. Thanks a lot for beautiful introduction and the pleasant experience. And in addition to it, I would like to express my gratitude for giving the opportunity to make all the students, either of any level, starting from the bachelor's and the postgraduate level, to make me feel dignified and giving me the opportunity to share my beautiful insights, and that is studious insights with you people, so that it will be the in the best interest of all the students there. Thanks a lot. And now let's start. The basic purpose of my presence is to teach you people, and to not teaching, just to give them idea, drop the idea regarding the topic brain hacks for beating the study stress on the neurobiological mechanisms and the pharmacological level. This is the topic of the webinar, and we will be together for 1 hour, continuous 1 hour. And so, starting before starting this, I would like to ask and highlight this point, that please note down your questions and drop in the chat box, so that at the end of this session, at the last after the last slide, you people will be given the opportunity to raise the questions and to ask multiple questions from this topic, and other than this topic, questions from the other than this topic is also allowed there. So, the topic is brain hacks for beating the study stress. We will study it on the neurobiological level as well as pharmacological intervention. So, let's start. What will be the this topic will be divided into four portions. First of all, we need to understand what is the study stress and what are the neurobiological mechanisms, what are the neuronal mechanisms and the biological actions in the background of this study stress, and what are the interventions, either non-pharmacological interventions and the pharmacological interventions, means without medicine how we can mitigate the stress and how can we deal with the stress while using the medicines. So here is the introduction. And what do you mean by the study stress? What is basically the study stress? Any kind of stress, any kind of stress which results from the uh, which is the part and parcel of every life of every student, any professional who is still involved in studies, who are studying, who did study, relating to the exams, ongoing exams, the deadline of the coursework, either assignments or the workplace workload, or the exams, assignments, mids, final examination, any kind of stress related to the uh, your students, starting from the commencement of the professional year till the collecting the degree at the convocation. The whole time period is related to the stress, any kind of, either it is positive, either it is negative. So this is called the study stress. And the main thing is that what does the study stress do to our body? Basically, it activates the HPA axis. what which this is quite crucial in the study stress in studying the neurobiological mechanisms of the study stress. So HPA stands for the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. This term indicates that whenever we confront the stress, which stress, study stress, either it is triggered from exams, either it triggers from the assignments deadlines, either it results from the rage attitude and the aggressive tone of the faculty members. This type of stress will activate the hypothalamus, and hypothalamus is the part of the brain central nervous system. It will release the adrenocorticotropic releasing factor. This hormone and or this chemical will activate the or it will stimulate the anterior lobe. Which lobe? Anterior lobe of the pituitary gland to release the adrenocorticotropic releasing hormone. This will further stimulate the adrenal glands, which region? Cortex. And it will also activate the medullary region. Adrenal cortex will release the mineralocorticoids as well as the glucocorticoids. Now this time we are studying about the glucocorticoids, in which there's a cholesterol. Cholesterol is that is cortisol. Cholesterol is something else. Cortisol is the hormone. This hormone is triggered by the stress through HPA axis. So what is the purpose of cortisol, and what will the cortisol do to our body? It will alters the changes in the neurotransmitter levels. It will causes the changes in the hormonal levels. It causes the hormonal imbalances. It causes the alterations in the level of the neurotransmitters chemicals. It may causes, yeah, induce neuroplasticity, which will increase or decrease the energy levels of the brain. So this is the whole scenario, how the study stress leads to the increase or decrease in the level of cortisol. In the case of study stress, which is the stimulus, this stimulus will increase the level of cortisol. So this is how the stress response system will work through the stimulus, which is the stress, academic stress. Now, what is the background story, and what is the neurobiological mechanisms which are running behind this academic stress? So neurobiological mechanisms means what are the changes in the neuronal network, which what are the changes in the biological systems, biological mechanisms which are interlinked with the neuronal network, either neuronal, either non-neuronal cells. As we know that neurons are present throughout the nervous system. They have an extensive branching and the sprouting of the nerves throughout the nervous system, either CNS, central nervous system, either PNS, peripheral nervous system. So non-neuronal cells are also playing an important role in this whole study stress mechanisms, which are astrocytes, microglia, ependymal cells, oligodendrocytes, and etc. And now, what are the neurotransmitter levels? Neurotransmitters are the chemicals which are required to be produced from the which type of cells? Neuronal cells. And they will activate the non-neuronal cells like astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglia, to modulate the activity of the neurotransmitters. This is called the neuroplasticity. Now, the how the study stress, which is our goal, okay, what it will do, what kind of changes it will produce in the nervous system. First of all, it will before telling you, study stress will decrease the level of the serotonin. It will decrease the level of dopamine. As we all people know, all the students are quite brilliant, and they definitely know it. Either they are medical students, and either they are non-medical students, either they are only belong to the biological sciences. Serotonin always deal with the mood. It is related to the mood patterns. It is related to the appetite arousal. It deals with the emotions. All these things are related to the serotonin. Whenever we are in good mood, it means that we have the handsome amount of the serotonin in the synaptic cleft in the neurons. And when we are depressed, and we have alterations in our mood, and we are irritable, we are showing aggression, we are showing negative emotions, it means that our levels of the serotonin are not boosted, they are not released from the neurons. So we can say that how the serotonin levels goes up and goes down. In this case, how the study stress will decrease the levels of serotonin. First of all, as I have told earlier, study stress will increase the levels of the cortisol through HPA axis. So this cortisol will decrease the you know, cortisol is the hormones and it is a glucocorticoid, and we know that this is the chemical. It means that this chemical behave like a ligand, and ligand needs the receptors to form the complex formation, and from the complex formation how the signal transduction pathway will take place in the cell, either it is neuronal, either it is non-neuronal. Currently we are studying about the neurons. So when the cortisol levels goes up, it will react with the gr means glucocorticoid receptors, and these type of receptors are the nuclear receptors. These are present in the cytoplasm, but upon the complex formation they undergo the cortisol is lipophilic. It means that it can pass the plasma membrane and goes into the cytoplasm, where it forms the complex with the GR receptors, and after the complex formation they undergoes the nuclear translocation. And upon the nuclear translocation there is the phenomena which is quite evident, and all the people knows that there will exist a transcriptional process. It means that mRNA will be produced. mRNA will be produced, but the cortisol will down regulate the genetic transcription of TPH2. TPH2 is the tryptophan hydroxylase enzyme, and we know that this enzyme is required in normal processes. TPH, tryptophan hydroxylase, is required for the synthesis of the serotonin. It is required to be present in the first step of the serotonin. So when the genetic transcription of the TPH2 enzyme goes down, it will not be produced. It will the levels of the TPH2 will be reduced. Then it means that our serotonin levels will be decreased. So this is how the cortisol will regulate the process of low levels of neurotransmitter. First of all, we know that our levels of the neurotransmitters goes down because of three mechanisms: either their synthesis will be reduced, either their reuptake will be increased, and thirdly, and their degradation or the metabolic activity will be enhanced. It means that when the serotonin is degraded, when the serotonin is reuptake from the synaptic left and back into the neuron, or last but not least, serotonin is not synthesized properly. It means that because of these three mechanisms our levels of the serotonin will go down. So this is how the stress will reduce the level of serotonin. Now comes next how the dopamine level will be reduced by the stress. This will work in the same pattern just like serotonin, but the enzymes related to the dopamine will be the tyrosine, and enzymes tyrosine hydroxylase. The genetic transcription of the TH will be low because of the cortisol upon the complex formation with the glucocorticoid receptors, followed by the nuclear translocation. It means that if the synthesis will be decreased, or expression of the DAT is the transporter, which is the reuptake transporter. It means that when the transporter will be its genetic description will be increased, it means more reuptake transporters will be present on the presynaptic membrane. When they will be, their concentration will be more, it means there will be the more reuptake of the dopamine, and there will be the lesser amount of the dopamine in the synaptic cleft. So the levels of the dopamine in the cleft will be reduced. In the similar manner, just above, SERT is the serotonin transporter. This will work in the same pattern just like the DAT, that is dopamine transporter. And MAO A and MAO B, what are these? These are the metabolic enzymes, monoamine oxidases. A and the B both are responsible for the metabolism of the monoamines. Monoamines means dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and the serotonin. And MAO A is wholly solely responsible for the serotonin and the dopamine metabolism. It means that they will metabolize them and converted them into the metabolic products within the neurons. कौन सा region? Neuroplasm, within the serotonergic neuron and within the dopaminergic neuron. When the metabolic products are produced, they will be taken back into the ECF, and through the blood in the kidney, it will be excreted through the bronchial filtration into the urine and pass out of the body. So in this way, serotonin and the dopamine levels will be altered or the reduced in the case of the stress. Now, uh, moving to the next slide. Now we have studied two neurotransmitters, dopamine and the serotonin. Now what is the level of the glutamate in the case of the academic stress? From any kind of stress, but we are studying about the academic stress. It can be physical stress, it can be psychological stress, it can be academic stress, but our topic is academic stress. So whenever the word stress comes into mind, there are the two stages, acute and the chronic. Acute stress can be, okay, it can change temporary changes in the neurotransmitters levels, but when the chronic stress occurs, when the pressure increases, either from academic point of view, either from psychological point of view, either from physical activity and the physical abuse, whatever physical activity. So we can say that unlike dopamine and unlike serotonin, glutamate levels will be increased in the case of the academic stress. Okay, now one thing arises: where are the serotonin, where are the dopamine, where are the glutamate neurons? The neurons producing these kind of neurotransmitters are present. They are present or distributed or omnipresent throughout the nervous system, exclusively the CNS nervous system, central nervous system. In the nervous system, which region? That is hippocampus and PFC. PFC means prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex means this region, and the hippocampus both are wholly solely responsible for the cognition, decision making, and the retrieval and the formation of memory formation. So in the case of the hippocampus, hippocampus is responsible for producing the memory. PFC is responsible for the perception, cognition, memory retrieval, decision making, language, linguistic problems. All these things are responsible, are the functions of the brain regions, which are hippocampus and PFC. Other regions are also involved, but they are the widely and the crucially part and parcel of these such kind of functions. Now, how the cortisol will increase the level of the glutamate? It will cortisol as well as adrenergic activity. Cortisol will increase the levels of the v-glut-s. V-glut-s means vesicular glutamate transporters. Basically, this such kind of the vesicles will load the glutamate neurotransmitters into the vesicles within the neuroplasm. In the glutamatergic neuron, there are the vesicles, which are called the synaptic vesicles, where there's a load, and they are the full and larger, more concentration, or the boxes and the circles, or the bubbles or packets of the neurotransmitters, which are there. The purpose behind these vesicles are to store them, to protect them from the metabolic enzymes. So in this case, we can say that the vesicular glutamatergic transporters will be responsible for loading more glutamate into the vesicles. And secondly, when there will be the more glutamate neurotransmitters in the vesicles, then it means that the more glutamate neurotransmitters are produced. Moreover, that excess glutamate, it's okay when the vesicles are the full or the loaded with the glutamate. Obviously, next step, all the people will definitely know that they will undergo the synaptic fusion with the help of the proteins, which are called the snare complexes. Snare complexes are the gene or the genetic proteins which causes the vesicles to fuse with the presynaptic membrane upon the generation of action potential, to make them those loaded glutamate neurotransmitters, to get themselves released into the synaptic left. How then? What comes next? When the glutamate are produced or they're released, are present in the high concentration in the synaptic left, then what comes next? These released glutamate will act upon the NMDA receptors. There are the two types of receptors which are related to the glutamate: AMPA receptors or the NMDA receptors. But in this case, we are talking much more evidently about the NMDA receptors, because it is quite much more reported in the literature survey or the literature studies. So when the glutamate will act upon the NMDA receptors, then the whole mechanism or the process of the signal transduction process will be pursued. And what will be that signal transduction process? We will discuss it later on. Now, currently on this slide, in this review, you need to understand that when their EAT expression means that it is the transporter of what? That is glutamate. When there's a down regulating, not up regulating, there will be the lesser expressions, lesser number of the double AT transporters, means glutamate transporters, reuptake transporters. It means that there will be the less reuptake of the glutamate from the synaptic left back into the neurons. Which neuron? Glutamatergic neuron. There will be more synthesis of glutamate. There will be the less metabolism of the glutamate, less reuptake of the glutamate. It means that all these processes will produce more glutamate levels in the synaptic left. So on the right side of this slide, you will see that how these vesicles will take place. First of all, when we are discussing or talking about the snare complex, this type of the complex, first of all, we are talking about the neurobiological mechanisms, we are talking about the neuronal mechanisms, we are talking about the biological complexes, biological activities which are taking behind this stress level, how this stress level modulate and causes the changes in our neuronal in our neurons, produces action potential, how this produces or trigger the signal transduction pathways. So in this manner, we will have the more concentration of the glutamate receptors. अभी मैं क्लास ले रही हूँ आप बाद में Next will be what will the neuromolecular mechanisms, how the chronic stress will produce. Now the story, this is quite important here, is that how the glutamate will produce more hypertoxicity, hyperexcitation. Hypertoxicity means how the overexcitation of the neurons will take place as a result of the glutamate. Now in this case we have the two types of the signal transductional pathways. Number one, if we look at the left side of the slide, NMDAR. These are the glutamate receptors, and these are present on the presynaptic membrane or the postsynaptic membrane of almost all the neurons and the non-neuronal cells. And in this case, we are talking about the astrocytes, as this diagram is taken from the literature studies having the astrocytes. So I will straightforwardly telling you this is the astrocyte, and which membrane, postsynaptic membrane of the astrocytes, which are present in the nervy glutamatergic neuron. So when the glutamate will act on the NMDA receptors, what happens? So students, this is very important. We are studying the more pharmacology, and this signal transduction pathways are quite pertinent or relevant to the molecular pharmacology. And you will obviously, you people are belongs to the undergraduate level. In the postgraduate level and the postdoc studies, you will do the research on such kind of the signal transductional pathways, how the neurotransmitter will causes the changes in the receptors, and what kind of receptors, GPCRs, plasma membrane receptors, ligand gated ion channel, mechanically operated channels. So in the case of the NMDAR, the structure of the NMDAR is such that the magnesium, I mean the packet of magnesium is stuck in the two that is helices of the glutamate receptors. Whenever the magnesium is present, the receptors will not get activated. When the glutamate will act on the glutamate receptors, magnesium will be removed. As a result of that, when the glutamate acts, the calcium influx will take place within the cell. Which cell? Neuronal cell. Which type of cell? Non-neuronal cell, either astrocytes, either other glutamatergic neurons. So when the calcium comes in, what functions will be performed by the calcium? Why this calcium is quite hazardous or the terrified, and why we are getting frightened of this calcium ion? This calcium will do multiple functions. It causes malfunctioning within the cell. How? This calcium will combines with the calmodulin protein. When the calcium combines with the calmodulin proteins, it means there's a complex of the complex of the calcium with calmodulin. CAMK means calmodulin kinases proteins will be formed. Upon the complex formation, multiple pathways will be generated. Among them, ERK pathway is related to the extracellular related kinases, mitogen activated protein kinases, MAP kinases. I have not mentioned and have shown those diagrams here because it's a complex pathway and multiple researches are conducted in this scenario. So what happens next? Briefly, we are discussing when the different kinases, tyrokinases pathways will be activated. This is called the signal transductional pathway. They will causes the CRAB to activate. This CRAB is the CAMP related regulatory binding protein which is present in the nucleoplasm. Nucleoplasm means the cytoplasm of the nucleus. And these ERK, mitogen activated protein kinases, and the complex of the calcium and the magnesium are present in the cytosol. How these cytoplasmic proteins undergo the translocation towards the nucleus and causes the transcriptional processes of different protein that's genetic makeups. For example, PrEP will upregulate and downregulate the multiple genes. In the case of the we are talking about stress, so will upregulate the pro-inflammatory markers. Pro-inflammatory markers means these are the that is the precursors of producing or inducing the inflammation within a cell. These are capable of producing the reactive oxygen species. For example, that is nitric oxide, superoxide, peroxide. These are the kinds and the examples of the ROS, reactive oxygen species. Now, apart from that, multiple cytokines are also produced as a result of the upregulation or the transcription of the genes like interleukins 1b, interleukin 16, and interleukin 6 at extra. So these type of cytokines will trigger the immune system and producing the inflammation. So in this case, not only this, if you look at the right side of this slide, you will say that how the mitochondrial dysfunctioning will take place upon the calcium influx. Basically, the calcium disrupt the electron transport chain within the cell. As a result of this, there's a pore which is present in the mitochondrial double membrane mitochondria on PRP, that is permeability pore which is present on the inner membrane of the mitochondria. When there the calcium influx occurs, there's a disruption in the ETC. ETC means electron transport chain. When there's a disruption in the ETC, the membrane depolarization, membrane potential will be disturbed. As a result of those disturbances in the membrane potential, and this permeability pore will be opened up. When this it open up, then the pro-apoptotic markers and the proteins like apoptosis inducing factors and APs and multiple BCL family like apoptotic proteins bags and the back will be released from the mitochondrial compartment out of into the cytosol, which is cytosol of the neuron and the non-neuronal cells. As a result, apoptotic proteins will produce the causes the apoptosis, and the remnant and other remnants will produce the necrosis. This is how the cell death. Cell death means neuronal dysfunctioning and the neuronal impairment will take place. As a result, when the some sort of neurons of the prefrontal cortex or neurons of the hippocampus region or the neurons of the amygdala region will be dysfunctioned or the impaired. So ultimately, their functions will be deteriorated, either memory, either language problems, either sleep cycles, either movement problems. All these things will be disrupted, and due to the decrease in the level of the neurotransmitters or increase in the level of neurotransmitters means the imbalance in the levels of the neurotransmitters. In the case of study stress, up more levels of the glutamate and lower levels of the serotonin and the dopamine. So in this way, the glutamate produces the hyperexcitation, hypertoxicity means it produces the disturbances in the cell and causes the death of the cell. So now, after telling you the little bit detail in the previous slides, I am talking about how the study stress, any kind of stress, but we are talking about academic stress, will cause the epinephrine, release of the epinephrine. Any cases, either through voltage gated calcium channels. So I'm relating the academic stress with the molecular biology, means how the receptors are related to those academic stress. I'm not currently viewing your chat box, but in this, you people may ask me questions in the chat box. So I will be answering those questions in the
Please, everyone, have patience. Our speaker will be in the session soon, inshallah.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
please wait, please. Obviously, there's a disturbance in the internet. Slides are visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, okay. Let me resume the topic. Okay. Now, how the epinephrine will causes the changings in the in within the neuronal cell. How the academic stress causes the upregulation of the voltage gated calcium channels. As we know that epinephrine or the adrenaline are quite relevant to the beta receptors, beta 1 and the beta 2 receptors. These receptors are the what type of kind of receptors? GPCRs. These GPCRs will causes the activation of the AC. AC means effector molecule adenylyl cyclase. This AC will causes an activation of of the or production of the CAMP from the ATP. As a result of CAMP, protein kinase will be activated. When the protein kinase A will be activated, they will trigger the opening of the voltage gated calcium ion channels, which are quite relevantly present or the widespread on the membrane of the neurons. When they will get opened up, these are the ligand gated ion channels, and then the calcium influx will be take place, and as a result, when the calcium comes into the cytosol of the neuron, then the whole process, similar process which I have told you earlier, will take place and causes will lead to the hypertoxicity and the destruction of the neurons. Now, this is quite important. What are the brain hacks? Brain hacks means how the our brain will causes them, how the our brain counteract these higher level or the lower levels or the abnormal levels or the changes in the neurotransmitters or the chemicals. In this case, what, in other words, if we are the medical professionals or the paramedical staff or the allied health sciences professionals are talking about what are the will be talking about the brain hacks, it means that what are the interventions. Either these intervention, in simple words, we can say that these this means the treatment can be pharmacological, treatment can be non-pharmacological. Pharmacological treatment means that it is related to the medicines. Non-pharmacological treatment means it is not related to medicines. Related means administration of medicines. When we are not administering the medicines and our academic stress or any kind of stress is getting we are getting relief from that, it means that, or we are fixing that academic stress which have been induced within our body, within our which part, nervous system. We are utilizing the different tools other than the medicines to mitigate this abnormal activity, which is the academic stress. We can utilize exercise, we can do mindfulness or the breathing activities, we can adopt the lifestyle modifications comprising of the nutrition means diet. I'm trying to say that in order to reduce the academic stress or any kind of stress, there's a whole same strategy and same mechanism and same treatment will be applied to any kind of stress, either academic, psychological stress. Academic stress is also related to psychological stress or any physical stress, किसी को हिट हो जाता है, किसी के साथ कोई इंजरी हो जाती है, like in this manner. Now, how, first of all, I'm talking about lifestyle modifications means that we need to make the changes within our lifestyle means either we need to do we need to consider exercise, we need to adopt the workout patterns, we need to do yoga, we need to be adopt the proper diet, which is balanced diet. Now, how these three factors, one, two, three, exercise, breathing patterns, mindfulness, and the nutrition are playing the vital role in mitigating the academic stress. In the case of the exercise, how the exercise will fix it out, now I'm telling you. In the case of, when we are doing the workout, either cardio, aerobics, zumba, either doing yoga, these kind of activities, either brisk walking, little bit walking, running, these kind of things, when our heartbeat will be increased. When it is recommended that whenever you commence or start doing the workout, there slow and steadily we have to commence this exercise, physical activity, because abrupt changes in the in our physiological systems of our body will take place, will lead to the hazardous effects. It means that initially, the purpose of exercise is to train our HPA in the case of intervention of academic stress. Basically, exercise will train the HPA axis. HPA axis means hypothalamus, pituitary gland, adrenal axis, through which the cortisol levels will be were used to be increased in the case of stress. Now we have to reduce those cortisol levels to the baseline, means normal values. First of all, initially exercise, we used to do little exercise. This will causes a little increase in these cortisol levels, unlike abnormal levels, but it will be little bit equivalent to the normal values of the cortisol within the nervous system, neuronal network. But as we increase the frequency and the strength of the exercise, mild to moderate exercise, it will increase, I mean it will prop up the levels, increase the level, intensify the levels of the cortisol. It means that our cortisol levels are again increasing. It means that when the cortisol level are increasing, our serotonin and the dopamine will ultimately fall down. But this is not in the severity case. There will be no changes in the mood patterns. Basically, as the time passes by, we need on the daily basis exercise. We need to train our body. In the start, we are slow. Then we start from slow to moderate and moderate to peak level. And then from peak level, we again reverse back to moderate level and moderate level to that is the mild level, starting level. It means that first of all our cortisol levels will goes up, then moderate, and then more up, elevated, and back to the moderate activity, back to the cortisol levels, and then normal levels. कहने का मतलब positive feedback loop will be generated in the case of starting from the mild to the severe, and from severe reverse back to the from severe to the mild level. Negative feedback loop will be generated. It means that positive and the negative feedback or the cycles are operating behind the neurobiological mechanisms in order to train the HPA axis to mitigate the academic stress or any kind of stress. So our body knows that when to increase and when to decrease, and what is the patterns to mitigate and tolerate or absorbs the academic stress. In this way we are often told that please do exercise so that your body will be trained. Otherwise the people, sensitive people, will get altered and will in overwhelmed with the little bit changes in our workplace or any kind of stress. They can't tolerate the withstand the pressure from outside. Now what is the breathing patterns? Breathing or mindfulness activities related to yoga. In yoga we need to streamline, or that is the promote the parasympathetic tone. Parasympathetic tones means rest and digest. We need to do little intake, and that is out burst of the oxygen levels. Inhale and the exhale patterns ko we need to streamline those in the case of the yoga. In this case we can mitigate or beat the academic stress. Now last but not least, in the case of the non-pharmacological modifications in order to fix the academic stress, how our diet will disturb, or the imbalance in the diets will disturb the will balki exacerbate the academic stress, and the balanced diet will mitigate it or counteract it. Now when we consume food, which type of food? Which is rich in the tyrosine, which is rich in the tryptophan, which is rich in the omega-3 fatty acids. When our food is fulsome with the such kind of amino acids or the fatty acids, then our body will be happy. How it will be happy? For example, you know that tryptophan is related, or is it quite important for the production of the tyrosine hydroxylase enzymes, and that enzyme, you know it, I have told it earlier in the starting slides of this session. It will be beneficial for the synthesis of serotonin, in the synthesis of the serotonin pathway. In the similar manner, tyrosine rich food means that there's a higher concentration of the tyrosine. Our food is peppered with full of tyrosine amino acids. It means that when we consume this type of food, which is tyrosine rich diet, it means that tyrosine will be more. It will produce more enzymes, tyrosine hydroxylase, which in return will produce more dopamine. In the similar manner, fatty acids, which need lipids too in our body to keep it to a balance. Obviously lipolysis and lipogenesis will take place, which will automatically disrupt the whole structuring of the cell. Now question arises, what are the tyrosine and the tryptophan rich diets? I'm telling you, the foods which contain such kind of fulsome with such kind of amino acids and the fatty acids are the meat, protein diet. Protein rich foods, protein rich foods include, I'm not talking about you should drink and you should intake the protein drinks. No. You should take it naturally by using the food like meat from any chicken, beef, fish, salmon fish, cod fish, anything. And similarly from dairy products like milk, cheese, yogurt, butter, and extra. In this case we can easily enhance our food tyrosine and the tryptophan levels, as well as omega-3 fatty acids, eggs, from these omega-3 fatty acids, to boost up the levels of the what? Ultimately serotonin and dopamine. And you know that when the serotonin levels will be balanced and the dopamine levels will be balanced, low to high, normal baseline levels, it means that our mood, our cognition power, our sleeping patterns, our movements will be normalized, and we will be happy. We will say that yes, I'm relaxed, little bit relaxed, and I'm good. So in this way, these are the non-pharmacological modifications. And in now being a pharmacist and being any kind of health care professional, physicians, pharmacists, nurses, and AHS, that is allied health sciences, physiotherapist, and etc. But pharmacists are more responsible for the medicines, their formulation and their mechanism of action, either pharmacokinetics and the pharmacodynamics. So these are the drugs. Which type of drugs? Modafinil, myoinhibitors. Myoinhibitors means monoamine oxidase. Beta blockers, SSRIs. SSRIs means selective serotonin uptake inhibitors. And SNRIs means serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. In the case of such kind of the drugs, we can normalize our neurotransmitter levels. Now, how do these drugs act or the work? Now, I will tell you in the next slides. I'm moving to the next preferred medications. Now, how? First of all, when we are talking about selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and when we are talking about benzodiazepines, or either we are talking about beta blockers, there's a big long list of the drugs in such kind of pharmacological classes. Now, I'm telling you general mechanisms, and then we will come after side effects, interactions, and extra. First of all, little bit. Fluoxetine, sertraline, citalopram, escitalopram, proxetine. These are the classes which are relevant to the neurotransmitters. Wait a minute. So, all these drugs basically will inhibit the reuptake of serotonin only. If we are talking about the SNRIs, selective serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors, for example, we are talking about the deloxetine. Deloxetine is the will not only inhibit the serotonin reuptake but also inhibit the reuptake of the serotonin. It means that when we are inhibiting the reuptake of the serotonin or the norepinephrine or the serotonin alone, we are producing or we are increasing the concentration of such kind of neurotransmitters in the synaptic cleft. When their concentration is increased, it means that the lower levels of such kind of neurotransmitters induced by the academic stress will be mitigated, has been fixed out. So this is our goal. That's why we are taking this. Now the students, ये बाद में बात करेंगे. Benzodiazepines, in the case of benzodiazepines, what does such kind of drugs will do to our bodies? Why we are not taking barbiturates? We can also administer barbiturates, but why these are preferred? These are preferred because they will increase the frequency of the chloride ion channels. And now, what are the chloride ion channels? Chloride ion channels are basically present in the are affiliated or are related to or associated with the GABA receptors. And we know that I didn't talk about the GABA levels. I mean gamma aminobutyric acid. These are the neurotransmitters of the cortisol is called the stressor hormone, and the GABA is called as calming hormone. I mean counter chalta hai iske. So benzodiazepine will increase the affinity or increase the capacity of the GABA. It means that when the chloride ion channels will open up in the case of benzodiazepines activity or the action, the more chloride ions will come in where neuroplasms in within the neurons, in the cytoplasm of the neurons. It means that it will produce the hyperphosphorylation, hyperpolarization. Hyperpolarization means that our action potential will be little bit delayed as it was overexcited and causing the hypertoxicity in the case of the abnormal levels of neurotransmitters. Now we will talk about beta blockers exclusively. Beta blockers are either non-selective, selective, beta 1 selective, beta 2 selective, and among them there are also the beta blockers which have beta selective activity with the intrinsic sympathomimetic activity or the alpha blocking activity or the alpha agonism. So propranolol is mostly administered by the students. कौन से students जो which used to administer such kind of drugs before the presentation, before coming towards the stage, before sitting in the examination hall, before the exam paper. matlab they used to have sweat on the forehead, they start shivering, they start trembling. So in order to mitigate such kind of tantrums, I mean overactivity of sympathetic nervous system, fight and flight response, our students used to administer, and they simply go to the pharmacy and ask them, please give me such any medicine which will reduce my stress level. I mean, I'm going to appear on the stage and I have a phobia and I'm not going to appear because my legs are shivering and I'm not able to control my emotions and I'm not overcoming my stress, only stage stress. So they are given what kind of drugs? SSRIs, benzodiazepines, and beta blockers. And among beta blockers, propranolol, propranolol, that is propranolol, कहते हैं propranolol are mostly recommended among the all beta blockers. Why these are preferred? Propanol are basically recommended because of their non-selective activity. It means that they can activate, I means they can block or antagonize beta 1 as well as the beta 2. They have more capacity to block both receptors simultaneously. As a result, their stress will be reduced. How? Beta blockers activation will be produced due to the adrenaline activation. Means epinephrine. And how the epinephrine, is a mineralocorticoid. And how the mineralocorticoid will be activated? It is activated as a result of the HPA axis, because hypothalamus will produce the adrenocorticotropic releasing hormone. It will activate the anterior lobe to release the corticotropic releasing hormone. It will act on the adrenal medulla or the adrenal cortex to release the mineralocorticoids like cortisol, epinephrine or epinephrine, and glucocorticoids like cortisol. In the and as well as the epinephrine or adenine levels or aldosterone levels. In This is how we can normalize our levels of neurotransmitters. This is how drugs will act on our body. Now, last but not least, this is called CBT means cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, in this case, this is related to the psychology. I mean psychological stress. I mean, when the students, most normally not the students, normally people, they used to suffer psychological stress. Always their normal tone is altered. They show aggression. They used to snapping with the family colleagues and the close relatives with an aggressive tone and harsh tone. So they need psychologist. And there's no shame and embarrassment to consult the psychologist or the psychiatrist that I'm mentally altered. No, sometimes such academic pressure, I mean external influences of the external stimulus, also influence you, and changes or influence the patterns and the levels, and the causes and imbalances in the chemicals, either neurotransmitters or the hormones. So now, how CBT will work? Basically, students, what will the psychologist will do? It will work on three factors: your thought patterns, your emotion patterns, and behavioral cycle. Now, how it will applied on the students in the case of academic stress? First of all, I am telling you, psychologist will distort, will change your thinking pattern. Thoughts means thinking patterns को change करेगा. After that, emotions, he or she will regulate your emotions. Either you are showing anger, he or she will try to lessen your anger patterns. Now, how he or she will do this is the not the psychologist himself will give you an admit to ask to do this activity and this. No, this is the the patient, I mean the person who is suffering and who is the victim of the academic stress, himself or herself, as well as a psychologist. They both work together simultaneously to fix this ailment or the illness. Now, how it is beneficial CBT practically देखते हैं. Now, first of all, I'm, for example, I have to change, मतलब cognition means we have to restructure our thought patterns. For example, I am the person, for example, let's suppose me, I'm feeling academic stress. Tomorrow is my exam, or if it is not exam, if we are talking apart from examination, if I know that I'm very bad in pharmacology, and I don't know how to beat this and how to ace such a kind of exams to get full score. So I'm thinking this negativity, I'm negative thoughts सोच रही हूँ कि I can't do this, I can't do most of the students are doing this and they're passing exams with the flying colors and extra. So what will the psychologist will do it in this, the following the CBT theory? He or she will do, he will change your cognition, I mean thinking part, thinking capacity. For example, before in the earlier stage you were saying that I'm bad in it, I can't do this, I am nil, I am the loser, I can't do anything else in my life because my past is very poor. So he will say, or he will she will say that you should change your statement and change your thoughts from bad at maths to I can struggle with the same topic in maths with the practice, I can improve with the such kind of illness or the loopholes with the practice. Practice makes the man perfect. If I'm saying that I can't pass in pharmacology exams, there are a long list of the pharmacological drugs, and there's a little bit differences between the drugs within the each pharmacological class, and there's a whole range of the side effects, ADRs, and the contraindications. How can I memorize those? So I can ask my own self that yes, there's a long list of pharmacological classes, and there are more bundlesome that is ADR side effects, but I need practice. I slow and steady win the race. I need to prepare myself a few pharmacological classes today, and rest of the pharmacology classes will be prepared by myself by tomorrow, and then day after tomorrow a little bit. In this case, so I am changing my cognitive restructuring, and I can say yes, I can do my level best, but with I will take time, I need time, things take time. So this kind of transformation. And secondly, how this Behavioral activation. Now I will say that, my teacher gave me, you have to prepare the assignment of 2 pages, MS Word ki 2 pages ki file banani hai. Now, in the evening time, I have to go for the wedding, and I have to sit up with my family members, and they came from the Europe and extra. So how could I pay my attention to that assignment task? And although it seems to be of 2 pages only, or this seems to be little, but it demands attention, it demands focus, because the topic is very difficult, and I had to give extra research work to give the detail 2 pager assignment. So I will क्या करूंगी, मैम कहेंगी 2 या 3 days का gap है, and you have to submit this assignment after 3 days. Now I will divide this the whole steps of the assignment making. First of all, today I will make only the research. Second day I will make the notes, and third day I will formalize, I will do the, give it a format, proper format, and then submit it to the teacher, rather than doing the research, doing making the notes, and then making the proper format in the single day. It will make you more stressful. So अपने आप को बर्डनाइज नहीं करें, इस तरह पोर्शन में डिवाइड करके आप इजीली इसको एक्सेल कर सकते हैं. दिस इज कॉल्ड द बिहेवियरल एक्टिवेशन. एंड प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स ट्रेनिंग, सिमिलरली, how in this case, just like behavioral activation, you need, okay, behavioral activation also demands that, for example, I have been reading, and I have been remembering the pharmacology from the last 3-4 hours consecutive through, I mean 6 hours. So I am quite tired, I'm quite depressed. Now how can I mitigate this? I can divide, I can take a 5 to 10 minutes break between each topic, and then move, get out of my room, and drink water and something else in order to refresh myself. This comes under the behavioral activation, and the partitioning of the long task into shorter tasks is called the problem solving techniques. Now last, exposure therapy. Exposure therapy means some students have the fear, and they are quite not used to appear in the examination hall. I have memorized some classes of pharmacology and appear in the examination tomorrow without any practice, without any writing, or do the practice of memorizing the spellings of the drugs. For example, histamine या phenylephrine. I don't know phenyl को F से लिखना या PH से लिखना phenyl को, because I didn't make the practice. So you need to overcome this fear. Obviously when you overcome this fear or terrible attitude, which will obviously, जब मैं ऐसे ही उठ के चली जाऊंगी तो एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में I don't even know F से लिखना है या PH से लिखना है. Obviously practice before appearing the examination will overcome your fearful. Obviously जब मैंने practice की होगी तो I will be quite confident to appear in the exams. This is how I am done. And this is a key takeaway. Normally HPXs will work in this manner, positive and the negative feedback loops are working in this manner, and stress will reduce it. And music क्या करता है, little bit changings ले आता है. So this is how we are playing role. Thank you so much, students, for your time to be here, to be listen and tolerating me. And if you have a few questions related to many questions, you can ask any type of question, either relevant or the irrelevant. Now these are my contact details. You may approach me at any time, either on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and through moderators or the host. Thank you so much. Now please, Fatma, you may ask me the questions which the students have dropped in the chat
Okay,
box.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the insightful session. Okay, ma'am. So first question is, okay, retention time issue. Can't remember classifications, and whenever I meet a family graduate, if he shares his bad experience in practical life, it always demotivate me, and I feel like I'm studying wrong degree. This question is asked by Rafiuddin.
Okay, Rafiuddin. Obviously, actually, on first glance, this question appears to be a little bit quite depressing to me. It means that this question is not bad, but it seems that you are depressed and frustrated with your own degree, and the things that yes, I can't do anything. No, बच्चे, ऐसे होता है कि every degree and every profession has its own worth. First of all, secondly, the deficiency and the problem which lies in it is the inefficient efficient attitude of yours. I mean to say that you need to put more effort. I am also the pharmacist by profession. I did 5 years degree of doctor pharmacy in the 2019, and right after that, I did my MPhil doing job training certifications and et extra. Rather than after that, I'm doing PhD. कहने का मतलब मैं भी तो हूँ. I did suffer experiences multiple, either on the virtual sessions, either in the classrooms. Academic excellence, malnutrition. I did suffer. The reason is that the people who are depressed, the core reason behind the depression is that they're not putting the the attention properly and they're not focused. Now, how to promote focus or attention attitude? This is promoted by consulting your seniors. I mean, nerdy people. Nerdy people means qualified, in not qualified, unqualified या uncertified professionals के साथ, either they are seniors या whatever the people behind you. Don't consult them. You know, जिसकी डोमेन होती है वो उसको बेहतर जानता होता है. जिसने जो किसी काम को करके गुजर के आगे आया होता है वो उसको बेहतर जानता होता है कि उसको हमने रिड्यूस कैसे करना है, रादर देन आप घर में. अब मैं हूं ना, अब माय फादर इज अ लॉयर, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के. अब मैं उनसे डिस्कस करूंगी, पापा मुझे बताते हैं कि ये ड्रग जो है ना काम नहीं करी, मुझे याद नहीं होता, मैं कैसे इसके साथ प्ले करूं. मैं इतनी देर से कोशिश करूं, ऊपर से मार्क्स भी अच्छे नहीं आ रहे. तो मुझे क्या कहेंगे, बेटा तुम्हारी ड्रग्स ये, तुम्हें मैंने कहा था इस फील्ड में ना हो, ये सारी एक्सवाइजेड फुप्पो से बात करें, मुझे ये कहेंगे ना. तो उस मुझे किससे मशवरा लेना चाहिए? मुझे अपने सीनियर से, और वो भी सीनियर्स जो कॉम्पिटेंट सीनियर है, नॉट इनकॉम्पिटेंस, द पीपल फुल ऑफ डिप्रेस्ड लाइफ, नो नेट. those people, those colleagues who did put their efforts, endeavors to achieve and to compete this world full of competitors. कहने का मतलब ये. एंड जहाँ तक फोकस की बात है, तो फोकस डेवलप करना पड़ता है. अपने सर्कल को अच्छा रखें, अच्छे लोगों के साथ उठे बैठें, अच्छे लोगों के साथ कंसल्ट करें. क्वालिफाइड पीपल के पीछे ऐसे पड़ जाएं जिस तरह छिपकली होती है ना, चिपक जाती है, छोड़ती नहीं है. बेशक वो आपको बुरा भला कह रहे हैं, आपको डिग्रेड करें, आपकी इंसल्ट करें, लेकिन डोंट गिव अप. अपने प्रोफेशन में लोहा मनवाएं और आगे जाएं. और ये तभी पॉसिबल है जितना आप नॉलेज सीख करेंगे. रात को बैठे, लेट नाइट आवर्स काम करें इसके ऊपर. और एक और बात, फार्मासिस्ट आर द बेस्ट, दे आर द मेडिसिन एक्सपर्ट्स, एंड नोबडी इज, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट फिजिशियंस, जिनको हम कहते हैं डॉक्टर्स, और बहुत उनको प्रमोट किया जाता है. नो स्टूडेंट्स, they have their own worth, but they have a specialty in diagnosis. We haven't had expertise in the diagnosis, we have the expertise in the medicines. So they don't even know the pharmacokinetics and the dynamic features of the medicines, and they're prescribing medicines carelessly, and that is flawlessly. And we this is our responsibility. And फिर आपको बात करने का तो अंदाज भी तो अच्छा होना चाहिए कि ताकि आप उनके साथ डील करें, उनसे बात करें, ताकि वो आपको अपॉर्चुनिटी दे, आपकी बात को सुने, कंसीडर करें. और आपको पता है उनको ज्यादा अच्छा, उनको ये बात पता है कि हम फार्मासिस्ट की फार्माकोलॉजी अच्छी होती है, क्योंकि हमने 3 साल पढ़ी होती है फार्माकोलॉजी, उन्होंने सिर्फ 2 साल पढ़ी होती है. मोर ओवर, जब आपकी स्पेशलिटी जैसा मेरे न्यूरोफार्माकोलॉजी आ गई, तो वो बहुत आप दे आर इवन. आपको बताऊँ, मेरा एक्सपीरियंस इस तरह का है कि मैं मल्टीपल क्लिनिक्स में जाती रहती हूँ अपने फैमिली फ्रेंड्स के साथ. मैं आरआईसी रावलपिंडी इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ कार्डियोलॉजी में भी गई, फर्स्ट इनकाउंटर. लेकिन आई वाज अ कॉम्पिटेंट स्टूडेंट, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह रही हूँ. तो मेरे पास नॉलेज था, तो मैं वहाँ पे फिजिशियंस को, जो एमओज होते थे, उनको बीट करके आती थी. लेकिन थ्रू माई लैंग्वेज, मेरा अंदाज होता था बात करने का, वो मुझे कंसीडर करते थे, मुझसे बात करते थे. तो कहने का मतलब, और सबसे बड़ी बात बताऊँ आपको, दे वर गेटिंग स्केयर्ड ऑफ माई नॉलेज ऑफ फार्माकोलॉजी. मेडिसिन एक लिख दी ना ओपीडी में, मैंने कहा ये आपने कैसे लिख दी है ओपीडी में? हाथ, अभी जो फायर क्रैकर्स के दौरान बच्चों के हाथ जल गए थे, वो गए, मैं वैसे गई थी फैमिली के साथ. तो उन्होंने मेडिसिन ना कोई एंटीबायोटिक रॉन्ग लिख दी, रॉन्ग डोज के साथ. तो मैंने कहा अगर आप इसको इस तरह लिखते हैं तो बेटर हो जाएगा. यू नो, ये वाली इस क्लास से बिलोंग करती है, इस डोज के साथ, तो आप इसको थोड़ा सा इस तरह करके लिखते हैं, तो ये बेनिफिट है क्या? वो मेरी शक्ल देख रहे थे और उन्होंने मुझे कहा यस यू आर राइट, एंड दे प्रॉम्प्टली चेंज दैट मेडिसिन इन फ्रंट ऑफ द पेशेंट. यू नो, ताकि आपके पेशेंट के सामने भी इंसल्ट ना हो, आपको कंसीडर भी किया जाए, और ना फिजिशियन की हो ना आपकी हो. एंड स्ट्रॉन्ग नेटवर्क, इंशाल्लाह कमिंग टाइम्स में सब कुछ बेहतर होगा. और क्योंकि देखिए पहले तो कुछ भी इतना नहीं था, ना इतनी फेमिलराइजेशन थी इस प्रोफेशन की, लेकिन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता चीजें चेंज होती जा रही हैं. एंड एज फार एज फीमेल्स आर कंसर्न, आई विल प्रेफर देम टू गो इनटू एकेडमिक्स. इट इज अ बेस्ट फील्ड फॉर द फीमेल्स. मेल्स के लिए भी होती है, लेकिन फीमेल्स के लिए ज्यादा अच्छी होती है. देयर आर टू मच रिगार्ड एंड एवरीथिंग एट एक्स्ट्रा. रिगार्ड तो हर प्रोफेशन में होता है, असल में आपको खुद अपने ऊपर वर्क करना पड़ता है. कोई आपके ऊपर मेहनत नहीं करता, कोई आपको जगह नहीं देगा, आपने हर काम खुद करना है. हर चीज सेल्फ से स्टार्ट होती है. इलामा इकबाल ने कितना खूब कहा है कि खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना, हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. God himself will ask you what is your desire. But you are raising your self esteem too high. लेकिन आप चाहते क्या हो ये तो बता दो. अल्लाह ताला खुद पूछे आपसे. तो ये चीजें इस तरह की होती हैं. So next question please. Fatma, next question please.
Maria Hassan asked a question: how does chronic stress affect the prefrontal cortex and decision making ability during study sessions?
Okay. पता है मैंने जितना पूरा वेबिनार दिया है ना, वो ये क्वेश्चन उसका क्रक्स है. कहने का मतलब कि chronic stress, either it is acute, either it is chronic. I mean acute हो या chronic हो, how this will activate any region of brain, either it is PFC, prefrontal cortex, either it is amygdala region, either it is hippocampus region. बेसिकली इसका आंसर मैं एक लाइन में बस करूंगी, वरना पूरी स्टोरी रिपीट हो जाएगी। बस एक में अगर आपको समझ आती है, अदरवाइज आप मुझसे बाद में भी कंसिडर कर सकती हैं। होगा ये, आपको पता है इन द होल ब्रेन देयर इज अ वाइड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ द न्यूरोनल नेटवर्क। फॉर एग्जांपल मेरे पास कुछ स्लाइड है, मैंने डायग्राम नहीं डाली। फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट डोपामीन, डोपामीन इज रिलेटेड टू मोटिवेशन, रिवॉर्ड, कॉन्फिडेंस, self esteem, and serotonin is related to mood swings. When there's a neuronal network of the dopamine, this is called the dopaminergic neuronal network. When we are talking about serotonin, it is related to serotonergic neuronal network or the neuronal pathway. And both kinds of the neurotransmitters, either it is GABA, glutamatergic, epinephric, adrenergic neurons, cholinergic neurons, basically any kind of neuronal network is present or widely distributed throughout the brain CNS, starting from the brainstem and then cortical regions and then lobes, frontal, मैंने याद रखा है FOPT करके, frontal, occipital, temporal and the parietal lobes within the cerebrum. So if there's a glutamate in the chronic stress, it causes glutamate induced hypertoxicity, and we know that when the hypertoxicity occurs, it causes impairment or in the functions of the neurons, either glutamatergic, either GABAergic, either adrenergic, either dopaminergic, or either serotonin. Basically, stress is related to the lower level of the serotonin and the dopamine, and when the chronic stress occurs, there will be the destruction in the morphological patterns of the neurons. Either, first of all, they are not synthesized properly, there's more reuptake of them, and thirdly, they're more metabolized, they are undergoing the degradation. Apart from that, सोने पे सुहागा, ये क्रोनिक स्ट्रेस से उनके डिस्ट्रक्शन भी स्टार्ट हो गई है। पहले तो उनका मॉलिक्यूलर मैकेनिज्म में डिस्टर्बेंस आ रही थी, तो इसकी वजह से क्रोनिक स्ट्रेस होता है, इतना अप हैवल क्रिएट कर रहा होता है। और प्री फ्रंटल कॉर्टेक्स के अंदर ये होता है कि थिंकिंग पैटर्न्स इसलिए डिस्टर्ब हो रहे होते हैं बिकॉज वहां पे डोपामिनर्जिक और सेरोटोनिनर्जिक न्यूरोनल पैटर्न्स प्रेजेंट होते हैं, वहां पे न्यूरोनल लॉस हो रहा होता है डोपामिनर्जिक न्यूरॉन का और सेरोटोनिनर्जिक न्यूरॉन का। सो दिस इज द आंसर, अदरवाइज इसकी बहुत डिटेल होती है। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन प्लीज।
Ma'am, Noman Shafi asked a question that how can we improve short-term memory?
ओके, आपको पता है basically the region which is wholly solely responsible on which I did do research in my MPhil, an article has been also published, काश वो भी मैं अपेयर कर देती, वो इंशाल्लाह जब कभी सेशन हमारा हुआ करेगा। असल में हिप्पोकैम्पस is wholly solely responsible for the conversion of the short term memory into the long term memory. बेसिकली बच्चों, मेमोरी फॉर्मेशन के अंदर भी बहुत सारे सिग्नल ट्रांसडक्शनल पाथवेज हैं। मैं आपको एक छोटी सी हिंट देती हूँ अगर आपको समझ आ जाए। देखिए, हिप्पोकैम्पस के अंदर कौन से न्यूरॉन्स प्रेजेंट होते हैं? कोलिनर्जिक न्यूरॉन। दे आर क्वाइट प्रेवलेंट इन कंपैरिजन, दे आर क्वाइट आई मीन परस्पिकेशियस, आई मीन बहुत ज्यादा नेटवर्क होता है इन कंपैरिजन टू अदर टाइप ऑफ न्यूरॉन्स। कहने का मतलब अगर हिप्पोकैम्पस के अंदर डिस्टर्बेंस आ जाती है, डिस्ट्रक्शन आ जाती है, इट मीन्स दैट योर कॉग्निशन पैटर्न्स आर ऑटोमेटिकली इम्पेयर्ड एंड दी ऑल्टर्ड। हम अपने माइस एनिमल स्टडीज जब करते हैं तो हम हिप्पोकैम्पस के रीजन और कॉर्टेक्स के रीजन को लेते हैं। मैं आपको इसके बारे में बताती हूँ कि शॉर्ट टर्म मेमोरी की इंप्रूवमेंट तो इस तरह हो सकती है वी आर ट्रेनिंग। हम एनिमल्स को तो ट्रेन कराते हैं डिफरेंट बिहेवियर टेस्टिंग के थ्रू। आपको मेरा मेरा गूगल पे रिसर्च करके मेरा नेम लिखना, तो उसमें मेरे आर्टिकल्स आ जाएंगे और उसमें मैंने बिहेवियर एनालिसिस दिया हुआ है। लेकिन मीनवाइल मैं आपको थोड़ा सा एक टिप दे देती हूँ कि आपने, अगर हम ह्यूमंस की बात करें ना, अगर मैं कहूँ कि मुझे याद नहीं होता, मैंने अपनी शॉर्ट टर्म मेमोरी को कैसे इंप्रूव करना है, तो उसका एक ही आंसर है, रेपिटेशन करें। आप फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मैंने अगर मैं पढ़ाई की बात करूँ ना, मैंने एक टॉपिक पढ़ा है तो आई हैव टू रिपीट इट मल्टीपल टाइम्स। अगर बहुत बड़ा है तो उसको डिवाइड कर लें, जस्ट लाइक CBT, ये जो कॉग्निटिव बिहेवियर थेरेपी, उसको अप्लाई करें एंड देन यू विल एनहांस योर मेमोरी। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अब नमाज है ना, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हम पढ़ते हैं। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हमने जब स्टार्ट की थी तो हमें कितनी मुश्किल लगती थी, हम बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम ले लेते थे पढ़ने में। लेकिन अब हम किस तरह रेगुलर अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह रब्बिल आलमीन कितनी तेज़ी से और जल्दी से पढ़ लेते हैं। हमारे लिए मुश्किल नहीं है, हमें रटी हुई है। हम कहीं पे बैठे हों बाहर, हमें बुक या कुरान पा के कुछ खोलने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती, हमें खुद याद है। क्यों? वजह रेपिटेशन, हम रिपीट कर रहे हैं ना। जिस चीज़ को ज़्यादा रिपीट किया जाए तो क्या होता है, वही शॉर्ट टर्म मेमोरी जो टेम्परेरीली स्टोर होती है वो लॉन्ग टर्म में कन्वर्ट हो जाती है। और वो क्यों होती है? अगर आप मॉलिक्यूलर लेवल पे बात करें तो आपको पता है, ये जो माइटोजन एक्टिवेटेड प्रोटीन काइनेसिस जो प्रोटीन प्रेजेंट होती हैं साइटोसोल में, सेल के अंदर, वो ऐसे जीन्स की ट्रांसक्रिप्शन करती हैं। कौन से जीन्स की? वो जीन्स जो कि मेमोरी को बूस्ट अप या कंसोलिडेट कर रहे होते हैं और उनकी रिट्रीवल में हेल्प कर रहे होते हैं। सो दैट्स व्हाई short term memory is converted into long term memory, and in this way we can improve short term memory through repetition and employing exploiting the CBT theory.
Okay, ma'am. Abbas Khan asked a question: can chronic study stress cause long-term changes in brain structure or memory?
No, no. There are they do cause deterioration of the neuronal patterns within the brain, but they do not cause permanent loss. क्यों? Obviously, if I'm obviously मैं हूं ना, अगर chronic stress, एनी काइंड ऑफ स्ट्रेस, एकेडमिक या वट एवर, अगर मैंने एकेडमिक स्ट्रेस या किसी भी टाइप ऑफ स्ट्रेस की वजह से मेरी बॉडी इतनी इन्फ्लुएंस्ड हो गई है कि आई एम इरिटेबल, आई एम शोइंग एंगर एवरीवेयर, आई हैव शॉर्ट टेम्पर, I am abusing everyone, I'm calling the names of everyone, so I need to consult first. I always recommend to prefer non-pharmacological treatment rather than switching into pharmacological treatment. Yes, they may cause changing, but not permanent changes. मतलब permanent changes means that the things cannot be irreversible. They can reversible through the interventions, either non-pharmacological or pharmacological. So this is the answer. अगर और डिटेल पूछनी है तो पूछे, वरना फिर इसका बहुत बड़ी लंबी स्टोरी हो जाती है. I mean, डिस्ट्रक्शन परमानेंट नहीं होती, irreversible होती है.
Okay, Rafi Malik asked a question that how can a pharmacist join forensic sciences?
फोरेंसिक साइंसेज ज्वाइन कैसे कर सकता है? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो बेसिक डिग्री फ्रॉम विच आई मीन जिस सेमेस्टर से भी अंडर ग्रेड का अगर स्टूडेंट है तो ही शुड फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कंप्लीट हिज 5 years डॉक्टर फार्मेसी प्रोफेशन, आई मीन डिग्री, एंड आफ्टर दैट यू हैव टू अपेयर थ्रू पीपीएससी, आई मीन विच प्रोविंस डोमिसाइल जिसका भी है उसके थ्रू, अगर केपीके का है या किसी भी पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन के एग्जाम के थ्रू आप आए, और इस तरह के डिफरेंट डिटेल्स हो गए, आई मीन ड्रैप के हो गए, ड्रग इंस्पेक्टर्स, लाइक इनमें आप इन हो जाएं तो इस तरह होता है. और बेसिकली अगर फोरेंसिक साइंसेज की बात कर रहे हैं तो आप एमएस और एमफिल एमपीएच इस तरह के डिफरेंट आई मीन डिप्लोमास टाइप होते हैं, दे आर आल्सो अवेलेबल, बट आई विल रिकमेंड यू कुड डेफिनेटली राइट आफ्टर द बेसिक डिग्री यू शुड जंप इनटू जॉब स्टेटस थ्रू डिफरेंट आई मीन इंस्पेक्शन टीम्स, और दैट इज द लेबोरेटरी टेक्निक्स, फोरेंसिक लैब्स लाइक एट एक्स्ट्रा. इन दिस मैनर यू कैन, बट बेसिक तो आपको कंप्लीट करनी पड़ेगी, इससे कोई छुटकारा नहीं है. पहले तो आपको ये करनी पड़ेगी कंप्लीट, 5 साल लगाने पड़ेंगे.
Okay,
और
ma'am.
लगाएंगे तो आपके फायदा. जी.
Okay. Noman Varki asked a question that I have issues during my exam anxiety.
ओके. इसका आंसर तो मैंने ड्यूरिंग उस टाइम ही कर दिया था सेशन में. स्टूडेंट्स, अब जिस तरह ये स्टूडेंट है, अदनान है, या आई मीन जो भी एक्स वाई जेड स्टूडेंट है, अगर स्टूडेंट्स मोस्टली आप देखना अपने ना ये पूछना स्टूडेंट्स जो अब बैठे होते हैं आगे पीछे या सीनियर से, लोग ना मेडिसिन लेने पहुंच जाते हैं और मेडिसिन से अपने आप को फॉर एग्जांपल प्रोपेनोल ले रहे हैं, प्रोपानोल ले रहे हैं, या आप बेंजोडाइजेपिन्स में से ले रहे हैं, या एसएसआरआईज में से फ्लॉक्सिडिन डिलॉक्सिडिन ले रहे हैं. आपको पता है इसके साइड इफेक्ट्स बहुत होते हैं. आप कहेंगे मैडम कौन से साइड इफेक्ट्स, ये तो आपने बताया नहीं. साइड इफेक्ट्स लाइक डिजीनेस, अरिथमियास, और रिसेप्टर टॉलरेंस, आई मीन डिसेंसिटाइजेशन रिसेप्टर की हो जाती है, जिसकी वजह से आपका ड्रग टॉलरेंस क्रिएट होती है, जिसकी वजह से होता है ये सेडेशन कॉज होती है. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आप प्रोपानोल ले रहे हैं ना तो आपको पता है इससे ब्रेडिकार्डिया हो जाता है. और सवाल एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था जो किसी ने नहीं पूछा, साथ इसी क्वेश्चन में मैं एड्रेस कर सकती हूँ. आपको तो पता है ना जो नॉन सेलेक्टिव बीटा ब्लॉकर्स होते हैं जस्ट लाइक प्रोपानोल, मैंने तो इसको डिस्कस किया, लेकिन अगर जो आस्थमा का ऑलरेडी पेशेंट है वो कैसे लेगा बीटा ब्लॉकर्स, वो भी नॉन सेलेक्टिव, आई मीन वो तो आपको तो पता है ना ब्रोंको कॉन्स्ट्रिक्शन कराते हैं B2 रिसेप्टर्स के थ्रू, तो वो तो ब्रोंकोस्पैज्म कॉज कराएंगे तो उसके लिए तो सेवेरिटी हो जाएगी, एक्सरसेपेट हो जाएगा एस्थमेटिक सिम्टम्स. सो फिर उसको बीटा 1 या वो बीटा क्या कहते हैं ब्लॉकर्स जिसकी इंट्रिंसिक सिम्पैथोमाइमेटिक एक्टिविटी होती है वो रिकमेंड किए जाते हैं. एंड सेकेंडली एकेडमिक स्ट्रेस को मिटिगेट करने के लिए स्टूडेंट्स मेडिसिन फार्माकोलॉजिकल इंटरवेंशंस को इस्तेमाल करते हैं. बेहतर यही होता है कि नॉन फार्माकोलॉजिकल इंटरवेंशन को फॉलो करें. एंड और साथ ये कि मैंने सबसे अच्छा होता है कि साइकोलॉजिकल थेरेपी नहीं, अपने आप को बार बार मॉक एग्जाम से बार बार छोटे छोटे शॉर्ट टेस्ट ले, एक दफा चलो, एक दो दफा ना करे, 3 दफा ना करे, एक दफा तो अपने आप को जरा चेक कर ले, या किसी को सुना दे ये रॉटिंग करके या लिख के, ताकि वो स्ट्रेस थोड़ा सा रिड्यूस हो जाए, रादर देन गोइंग टुवर्ड्स स्विचिंग टुवर्ड्स नॉन फार्माकोलॉजिकल टुवर्ड्स मेडिसिन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, बिकॉज इट लीड्स टू मल्टीपल ड्रग इंटरेक्शंस एज वेल एज दी साइड इफेक्ट्स और एडीआरस. सो आई विल रिकमेंड इट. बट अगर शॉर्टली आपका आंसर हो तो यस, आप मेडिसिन भी ले सकते हैं सारा कुछ, लेकिन ना लें, बेहतर तो ये साइड इफेक्ट्स होते हैं. तो आप बेसिकली अपनी प्रैक्टिस मेक्स मैन परफेक्ट, प्रैक्टिस करें जो जिसका पेपर है उसकी. और स्टेज फियर है तो अपनी वो भी प्रैक्टिस के साथ, फॉर एग्जांपल प्रेजेंटेशन से पहले बच्चे जो होते हैं शीशे में देख के पढ़ रहे होते हैं, याद कर रहे होते हैं, या किसी के सामने प्रेजेंट अपने आप को कर रहे होते हैं, फादर मदर के सामने या अपनी फ्रेंड के सामने कर रहे होते हैं, तो ताकि एक दफ़ा प्रैक्टिस हो जाए. और फिर याद रख लें, एक दफ़ा भी आप किसी चीज़ की प्रैक्टिस करने से पहले किसी भी एग्जाम में बैठ जाएं या इंटरव्यू में चले जाएं, जॉब के या किसी भी एग्जाम के टेस्ट के, आपका कभी ये जो फियर है ना जो 100% पे पहुंचा हुआ था वो 50 40 30 पे आ जाता है. तो आप मेडिसिन एकदम से जो एग्जाम फियर है रात को फार्मेसी से मेडिसिन ले आए और खा के वो चले गए हैं, उसके साइड इफेक्ट्स किसने भुगतने हैं? आप लोगों ने, सफर आप लोग करेंगे। तो इसलिए इसमें कोई शक नहीं है कि मेडिसिन बहुत अच्छी हैं, उनके साइड इफेक्ट्स होते हैं। आप मेडिसिन उन चीज़ों के लिए लेना जो कि आपके लिए बहुत बेनिफिशियल है, जो मतलब फॉर एग्जाम्पल जो कि नॉन फार्माकोलॉजिकल इंटरवेंशन से मिटिगेट नहीं हो रही होती हैं, जिस तरह अरिथमियाज हो गया, वो आपको एक्सरसाइज तो नहीं करेगी अरिथमियाज, तो मेडिसिन तब नीड होती है। तो इस तरह के जो साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज होते हैं, दे कैन बी इजीली सॉर्ट आउट एंड मिटिगेटेड विद द साइकोलॉजिकल थेरेपीज लाइक सीबीटी, और रादर देन गोइंग फॉर टुवर्ड्स मेडिसिन। और पूछें? अभी हमारा एमसीक्यू सेशन भी है, थोड़ा सा इसको
Yes, ma'am.
एक्सपेडाइट करते हैं।
Okay, ma'am. Ariba Adi asked a question that how to cope with stress during exams and how can I stay focused during long sessions of study.
फर्स्ट का तो आंसर मैंने ऑलरेडी कर दिया, सेकंड का आई एम आंसरिंग कि हाउ टू आई मीन सस्टेन दिस लॉन्ग टर्म स्टडी पैटर्न्स। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, इन ऑर्डर टू sustain it, you have to divide larger chunk of the studies or the content material into shorter ones. I mean, you have to divide a large big topic. For example, if you are talking about cholinomimetics, we are studying it in pharmacology, we have to divide that cholinomimetics drugs into the 3-4 drugs in one hour, and with the 5-minute breaks or 10-minute breaks between the second section. And then after the 10 minutes break, I will read, or that is making the notes or jotting it for the next 4 drugs, and then take 15-minute breaks or 10-minute breaks, and then study up to the rest of the course materials. I mean कि लार्जर चंक को शॉर्टर चंक में डिवाइड करें और फिर स्टडी करें, तो इस तरह होता है कि आपकी वही विल पावर, वही पैशन, वही एनर्जी, आप ड्रेन आउट नहीं होते, आपकी उसी वही एनर्जी लेवल विद मतलब बूस्टेड लेवल्स एनर्जी के रहते हैं, अगर आप थोड़ा सा बीच में 5-10 मिनट का ब्रेक ले लेते हैं तब। तो इस तरह इसको सेकंड क्वेश्चन का आंसर है। फर्स्ट का ऑलरेडी मैंने बता दिया, स्ट्रेस कैसे मिटिगेट करना है। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन प्लीज, एमसीक्यू सेशन।
No, ma'am, it's time for the quiz actually. So,
ओके,
this will be based on today's session. So, if you were listening closely, you have a great chance of winning a certificate of excellence. So, let's wait for the participants.
students, MCQs are very easy and it is totally conceptual. If you have attended the whole webinar attentively with all ears, then it is quite pleasant to take this chance and avail it. Obviously, time and tide wait for none, and it is an amazing. I have made such sort of MCQs by myself. It is not difficult. So get up and sit in the exam or the quiz competition. It will be
Okay,
benefit in
so
your own.
first Okay, so first question is which enzyme degrades both serotonin and norepinephrine? MAOB, MAOA, catechol, O methyltransferase, or acetylcholinesterase? Okay, so monoamino oxidase A is the correct answer. Rumesa Khalid is on top. Very good, Rumesa. आपने lecture अच्छे से सुना है इसका मतलब. Let's move on to the next question. A student taking propranolol for exam anxiety should be questioned about which adverse effect? Hyperthermia, insomnia, bradycardia, or seizures? Bradycardia is the correct answer. Fiza Munawar O is on the top. Reduced dopamine in stress exposed students is partly due to enhanced COMT and MAO degradation, increased dopamine synthesis, inhibition of MAO enzymes, decreased glutamate activity. So option A is the correct answer. Very good, Fiza. Chronic stress impairs learning and memory, mainly true. Hippocampal neurogenesis, prefrontal cortex thickening, amygdala volume reduction, or hippocampal dendritic atrophy. Option D is the correct answer. Sidra Azhar is on the top. Very good, Sidra. Which neurotransmitters dysregulation is most closely linked to loss of motivation during academic burnout? GABA, dopamine, glutamate, or acetylcholine? Dop- Dopamine is the correct answer. Very good, Sidra. Which CBT element specifically addresses procrastination in students? Socratic questioning, tough suppression, behavioral activation, or mirror exposure? Option C, behavioral activation is the correct answer. Very good, Sidra. You are actually playing really well. Very good. Keep it up. Which pharmacol agent is least likely to be chosen for long term academic stress management due to dependency risks? Diazepam, escitalopram, sertraline, venlafaxine. Which of the following best explains how stress can reduce dopamine levels at the molecular level? Option D is the correct answer. A stressed medical student is prescribed propranolol before a high stakes presentation. The main reason is to improve long term memory, to block peripheral adrenergic symptoms like tremors and palpitations, to enhance serotonin synthesis, to inhibit cortisol release. Option B is the correct answer. Rafiuddin, you are playing good. Chronic academic stress elevates cortisol, which increases which enzyme expression, accelerating monoamine degradation. Monoamine oxidase, acetylcholinesterase, tyrosinase, or adenylyl cyclase. Option A is the correct answer. Which of the following drugs is most effective for reducing test anxiety symptoms without causing sedation? Propranolol is the correct answer. Okay, Sidra Azhar. Good. Which benzodiazepine is preferred for short-term relief of acute exam-related anxiety due to its rapid onset? Option A, diazepam is the correct answer. Okay, so the winners are Noman, third. Okay, Rafiuddin on second. And the first position goes to Sidra Azhar. Very well done. इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा खेला. You played really well. Okay. On the behalf of Pharmacozyme, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Maria for sharing her expertise and practical brain hacks that can truly transform the way we approach learning under stress. A big thank you to all the participants for joining us today in this webinar. Thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel, follow our updates, and stay connected for upcoming events. Jazakallah. Allah Hafiz. Till the next webinar.
Thank you.